For the Inferno, Dante is clearly inspired by the accounts of the underworld in Homer in the Odyssey and Virgil in the Aeneid. However, being ignorant of Greek, he was considerably less familiar with Homer. Just as these ancient epic poets portrayed the underworld and used it in different ways as a part of their own narrative, so also Dante exploits this motif and even makes it central to his own work. Indeed, Dante alludes to Aeneas' visit to the underworld directly before undertaking his own journey. The purpose of the underworld scenes in both Homer and Virgil is one of knowledge. In the Odyssey, Odysseus is told by Circe that before he can continue his journey home, he must visit the underworld and ask for help from the prophet Tiresias. The prophet tells him what he needs to do to complete his voyage successfully and even explains how he will die. This episode plays an important role in the narrative since it anticipates the adventures that Odysseus will have in the second half of the work and gives him invaluable guidance about what he must do in order to arrive back home safely. In the Aeneid, Virgil uses a device of the underworld in a slightly different way. Before he even enters the underworld, Aeneas hears the prophecies of the Sibyl, which anticipates the second half of the story. Thus, in contrast to the account in the Odyssey, this is not the reason why he goes to the underworld. Instead, the underworld episode in the Aeneid serves the function of allowing Aeneas to be reunited with his dead father Anchises, and more importantly, of permitting him to catch a glimpse of the glorious subsequent history of Rome, which vindicates all of his sufferings and self-sacrifice. In both cases, important knowledge is gleaned. Moreover, the respective underworld scenes provide an occasion for the presentation of a kind of cosmology that reflects the worldview of the time. There's an important shift that takes place in the protagonists in the three epics. In Homer, it's the great warrior Odysseus who makes the trip to the underworld. Likewise, in Virgil, it's the hero Aeneas, the man responsible for the beginnings of Rome who undertakes the journey. Both of these men have accomplished heroic acts and are esteemed as great leaders by their peoples. The trips to the underworld are just one episode among others in their eventful lives. By contrast, Dante is a more ordinary person. He's not a great military hero, but yet he too must undertake a similar journey. He contrasts himself with Aeneas and also with St. Paul, who is also reputed to have made such a visit to the underworld. Dante asks, quote, "But why am I to go? Who allows me to? I am not Aeneas. I am not Paul. Neither I nor any man would think me worthy." This is important since it shows that the spiritual struggles of the individual are now the main human focus, and not the outward exploits such as military conquests or long journeys on the sea. The inward struggle of the individual makes us all, in a sense, play the role of the hero in our own epic. As individuals, we're now important regardless of the fact that we've not fought great battles, defeated monsters, or ruled as famous kings. One can also see an important change in the nature of the underworld as it's presented by the three epic poets. In Homer, the underworld is more or less simply a kind of residence for the dead. It's a sad, dreary place, but only a few instances is there mention of punishment. For the most part, the dead souls are merely whiling away the time with no real occupation or activity. Moreover, in Homer, there are no real distinctions made among the different kinds of dead souls. Hades seems to be a place for everyone. By contrast, in Virgil, there's a clear distinction made among the different souls and their fates. They're separated into two places, one Elysium, which is the home for the virtuous souls, and the other Tartarus, where the evil ones go. Here, there is a much clearer sense of rewards and punishments based on the actions of people in their lives. Moreover, Virgil has recognized and addressed the problem in Homer about the lack of activities of the dead and has given the departed souls things to do. The souls in Elysium engage in physical exercise and pleasant pastimes, while those in Tartarus suffer terrible punishments.